Welcome back to round 2 of the Australian Beach Volleyball Tour down here at Mollymook Beach. I'm joined here by Lewis Jupp. How are you, Lewis?
Good, thanks, Jared. Beautiful second game lined up here. We have Izac, Carragher, Nicolaidis against Kiahl, Morley and Radim.
Yeah, two very different teams here. We've got a little bit of experience on the far side of camera here, Radim and Kiahl. Radim now calling Manly home, originally from the Czech Republic, and Kiahl, one of the Queenslanders on tour here. Up against the young fellas here, number 3 seeds, Izac Carracher, also originally from Manly, now calling Adelaide home, and Mr. Mark Nicolaidis, also a Queenslander.
Absolutely, and the funny thing is, although the experience is with Radim and Kiahl, we also noticed that Radim and Kiahl is the first tournament they've ever played together, so they're a fresh pairing, getting new to the environment and playing together. Meanwhile, Izac and Mark are a bit of a seasoned team. They played a few tournaments together before, including a very well-performed tournament last month in Cobram. Played a phenomenal tournament, earning themselves silver, just falling short to Chris McHugh and Paul Burnett in the final.
That's right. They absolutely played out of their skin leading up to that one. Chris and PB, two very big guys, and again, plenty of experience there and one of the big up-and-comers. But, no, mate, good times. What can you tell us about Izac and Mark? How do you think they're going to approach this one?
I think similar to Chris and Paul, they're going to come out basically guns blazing. They're going to really look to close this one as fast as they can so they can move on, prepare for their next game sort of thing. But the interesting things to note about Izac and Mark is they actually play a very fast style of gameplay. They often run a lot of fast balls / I guess you could call them shoots to the outside, also loving to opt for that jump set / sometimes going on 2-ball option as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say Mark Nicolaidis, a freak. He's not the tallest bloke on tour here, but a great passer, and yeah, that 2-ball is always a big option here. As you can see, serving Mark again, but go on the conventional 3.
Absolutely.
Done.
Absolutely, and Mark's got a lovely vertical as well, allowing him to not really have to sacrifice much on the offensive side. Really nice swing, really fast arm. Makes him actually definitely one of the stronger defenders on the tour.
No, absolutely. He's only 185, so just over 6 foot tall, but as you say, that vertical, so effective. And obviously you've got Izac up at the net there. Oh, cheeky little one there, but a bit of experience coming through by Radim. Yeah, Izac up at the net, standing at 197, so just shy of that 2-metre mark. What can you tell me about Isac's game?
Isac's improved so much from when he first started out in beach volleyball, playing just his first ever national event. He was actually in the oldest age group when he played his last event in the under-19s tournament. He decided that was his last beach junior national event, and it just fell in love with the sport from there. Came back from overseas from college and trained constantly on Manly with some of the Manly veterans such as Sam Halley, who is down here as well. Unfortunately not competing, but he is down here. But again, same thing, he just trained in those sort of groups and really took off, and then wasn't long before he started drawing the eyes of the Australian coaches.
Absolutely, and a place that you spent quite a lot of time at, Manly Beach there. A lot of experience coming through there, a lot of great players have developed there. You've done a little bit of coaching yourself. Tell me a little bit about the state team coaching and some of the coaching you've done, mate.
Absolutely. Well, I've been part of the Phoenix program, which is a brilliant new program in New South Wales. A lot of the new juniors coming through, similar to what we spoke about in Game 1. It's really a lot of young juniors just being given more opportunities to play and more opportunities to advance. And it's run up and down the coast, which is awesome. We get all the juniors from places such as Port Macquarie and Coffs Harbour who can't quite get to Sydney, get the opportunity to get that sort of level of training. It's headed up by Martin, who is our, I guess you'd say, big boss, the ex-Canadian Olympian, phenomenal man, phenomenal coach.
Absolutely, the man mountain himself, Martin Reeder. If you're watching at home, Martin, welcome. Hope you're enjoying the action here. As say, Mr. Jupp beside me has a lot of good things to say about you, but I'm sure we'll see you guys up on Coolangatta. So you involved with the Phoenix program with the youth tournament a little bit later in the year?
I will be, yeah. I'll be probably helping out coaching alongside some of the teams I run, just to help them out, give them that sort of advice. But the beautiful thing is a lot of the athletes in the Phoenix program are getting to that point where they got, similar to a lot of juniors here, their technique is quite good. Sometimes just need a little bit of help with how they're laying out game plans. But again, the quality of the juniors these past few years has really just skyrocketed upwards.
Mate, absolutely, yeah. And it's great to see New South Wales becoming a bit of a force there. As we see Kiahl Morley just playing one off the hands of that big blocker, brings us up to 6 points apiece in this first set. one more there. Just finding the block. He is a big man at the net, but Radim just finding the outside of that block there and taking a narrow lead, 7 points to 6.
Absolutely. And we saw that sort of fast, almost first tempo ball, I should say second tempo, about a metre ball set from Izac to Mark to give Mark a really fast swing, but a really nice diving cross-court block from Radim made that not an option. He's used another one just then to shut down Izac, and Isac's going to have a few choice words to say to Marcelo for the double call there.
It is a double. Yeah, that's it.
Definite upsetting face there on Izac Carragher. Visibly disappointed there. Now it's Mark's turn to voice his opinions.
Just a friendly conversation there, no doubt. I'm sure they're just asking Marcelo up on the stand what his dinner plans are, maybe having a little friendly chat. Just the facials are just throwing you off there, I reckon.
Oh, 100%, yeah, absolutely.
We do appreciate all of our referees and our officials down here. Such a massive part of the game, and obviously without our officials that you'll see over the next 2 days, these events can't happen. So a massive thanks in advance to those guys and to each and every one of the players that does jump up and do their part.
Absolutely. It's always good to have the volunteers, and at the end of the day, you know, a lot of people that get involved, if we have those situations where they don't want to be there anymore because they get yelled at, then we lose the ability to play. So without those officials that come in and help us out, or even the people that come down to set up, without them, you know, we get no tournament. So thank you again to all of them.
Absolutely. And just a little too much on that one. Brings us back up to 8 points apiece. It's always an interesting one early in the tournament. As we say, Radim and Kiahl have come through the qualifiers and ended up here at 13th seed. How do you think that affects their preparation with a few games under their belt compared to maybe starting a little cold?
Definitely, I reckon, come in with a slight advantage there, especially because they have played some tournament games on the sand, so they're a bit used to the gusty wind, because as I said, that wind's not very consistent. It's moving through in a bit of a gust fashion here and there, which really can affect sets mid-air, hits mid-air, that sort of stuff. So having a few games prior to playing this one allows them a chance to really work out the conditions of the day. So I think they're coming in with a bit of an advantage there. Izac and Mark working out how everything's feeling on that day there. Nice, beautiful, crafty shot there over the top of Izac. Him just not able to touch it. Brings up 9 all, I believe.
Yeah, 9 points apiece. So nice and tight one to start the first set. The last one was a little bit of a blowout with their number 1 seeds taking on the number 16 seeds. Always a little bit of a gulf there, but look, the tournament's never over until the fat lady sings. So we've got Kyle Morley here to serve. A little bit of a new pairing, as we spoke about. How is it to change things up? I guess the unpredictability of a new pairing. Do you think Izac and Mark would have done much research on these boys?
Well, Izac has the benefit, obviously, fortunately, with Izac coming from New South Wales, he knows Radim quite well, knows how he plays, and vice versa for Mark coming from Queensland. He knows Kiahl and how he plays, so I guess them coming together as a pairing is a nice bit of stroke of luck there. They definitely know these players and know what they're up against, but by the same principle, I think Radim and Kiahl also know about Mark and Izac, so I think it'll definitely come down to game strategy and how long it can take Mark and Izac to get rolling, because once they get rolling, the speed, the power, and the height they can take the ball is something special to watch.
No, for sure. It's an interesting dynamic, as you see here. The taller boys coming from New South Wales and the shorter blokes from Queensland. So maybe something up in the water there in Manly, but who knows? Let's not read into that too much. That brings us up to the first technical timeout, I believe. We have 11 points to 10. Might throw to a short TVC and we'll be back very soon. Welcome back to the action down here at Mollymook Beach. Another big thank you to one of our ongoing partners, Scape Student Accommodation. Funnily enough, headed up by the father of one of the fellas out here, Mr. Izac Carragher. Now, Craig Carragher, the president of Volleyball Australia here, he gives a lot to the sport, so we are very, very thankful for his support there. And as I say, Scape Student Accommodation. If you haven't stayed there before, highly recommend it. Now, Izac and Mark here taking a slight lead after the technical timeout, 12 points to 9.
Absolutely, yeah. So quick chats maybe about tidying up some of their conversions. There we go, straight away coming out. Really strong, nice pass, good transition, and a lovely swing away, turned back line by Izac.
As you can see, there's so much power, and you think that shoulders are slowly starting to warm up, and I dare say you'll see a few more of those in this game.
Beautiful pick up there by Mark. Again, a really nice transition, just taping the net though. Allowing Radim enough time to get there. And he in turn replies with a beautiful shot line, leaving no hope for the defender to dig that.
No, exactly right. To say Izac, a big man in the net there, but just left a little bit too much of that line open. And Radim, a crafty player in his own right, finds that tape. We're at 13 points to 10. Radim Mokrohajsky to serve. Straight up and down again there by Izac Carragher. Defending that one, what kind of tips could you give to the youngsters out there defending somebody who hits such a big ball?
Well, it's always very tempting sometimes to sit back on your heels and almost be ready to, you know, just try and hope that the ball comes in your general direction. But it sounds weird, but you're really just going to face up to the ball, you know, put your body weight forward, be ready to just, well, we say the term wear the ball. So whether it hits you on a shoulder, in your chest, on your arms, just be ready to put your body behind that ball, body on the line, just to make sure that ball goes up. But again, you know, you can't get very far if you are not able to dig players like that. So you got to just be prepared and start. A lot of people fall in love with the idea of making those digs because when you have a big hitter like such as Izac just then, you know, when he hits it really hard and you get that beautiful pass up and you're able to convert it into your own point, it's a massive shift of momentum and a really good boost for you.
No, big time. That's it. Sometimes you just have to get those fundamentals right, and every good team comes from good defenders. I mean, as you see, Tokyo Olympics not long gone. We had big Chris McHugh and Damien Schumann, and again, Damien sometimes just, you think he's got 6 arms. He seems to get to everything, can defend absolutely every ball, and the higher the competition, the bigger the hitters. So it's always very, very important.
Absolutely, and in the pool they actually had probably the top team in the world with the Norwegian Vikings pair with Sarum and Mol. And again, you looked at Damien Schumann, he's easily able to defend up there with some of the top defenders. But again, like that was probably the best game they played at the Olympics. Really strong. They look really great, and unfortunately fell short in their other 2 games as well.
That's it. As we spoke about earlier, that sort of top seed against the bottom can, on paper, maybe a very one-sided affair, but no, they did the whole nation proud there. They absolutely played out of their skin, and I dare say the Norwegians were a little scared there for a while.
Absolutely. I definitely think there was definitely a moment where they would have had that second guessing themselves going, okay, it's maybe not as an easy game as we might have thought. But again, them, similar to what we're seeing with a lot of these games happening here on this beach with the experience shining through, you could see that that international 4-star experience that they had just shining through towards the end of that 3rd set there.
There's a ref, Mark. There's a ref, don't worry.
A little bit of confusion there, but Carragher and Nicolaidis take a 5-point lead in this first set. Up 17 points to 12. Carragher to serve.
You look at the fact, the joy they're having when they play. Look around the court, all players, big smiles, really enjoying it, even though the weather may not be what you'd call ideal, not as sunny as we sometimes are blessed with. But again, good to see the level of enjoyment out there is always high.
Big time. That's one of the biggest things out here. When you see the boys, you see that chemistry. I guess Izac and Mark, that similar sort of age. Izac, I think 22 and Mark 21, if my memory serves me correctly. So that same sort of age, about a couple of years together. How important is it to form those partnerships and friendships?
Oh, absolutely crucial, to be honest, because when you look at wanting to achieve something over a season, it's very difficult if you spend the whole time changing partners because you're always changing that dynamic. And sometimes it's better to just pick a partner and just work on your play together because, you know, there's the famous saying, you know, a champion team will always beat a team of champions because their ability to play together always outshines that sort of more dominant pairing.
It's a little bit of natural ability, and being 8 foot tall never hurts either. But look, it does go a long way, and there's another signature swing there by Mr. Carragher. Brings up set point number 1.
Again, as we were saying in game 1, that signature Australian jump set coming in this time from Mark Nicolaidis, who a little bit unhappy with the set himself, but happy with the result at the end of the point. Nice jump set push out to Izac Carragher. And again, the speed they run that ball makes it very difficult if you're not already there as a blocker to do anything about it.
And there it is there. As we spoke about, they found the size of that block a couple of times, but very, very effective there. And the boys from New South Wales and Queensland now down in Adelaide taking the first set, 21 points to 13. Now, a little bit later in the year, we have one of the biggest events on the Volleyball Australia calendar. We have Volley Slam, which is 3 and potentially 4 events in one. So up in Coolangatta Beach at the tail end of March, rolling into April. We kick it off with the Australian Beach Volleyball Tour finals from the 25th to 27th of March. So you'll see some of the best players from all around the nation and all of these legs of the Australian Beach Volleyball Tour battling it out for bragging rights. And that's followed up by some of the stars of the future. We've got the Australian Youth Beach Volleyball Championships we spoke about briefly earlier that you may be involved with coaching. That's from the 28th to 31st of March. We have a day off in between, and then we have some more of our stars of the future from some of the best schools around Australia, the Australian Beach Volleyball Schools Cup, a fairly new event on the Volleyball Australia calendar, but growing in size. Now, Lewis, did you play much volleyball growing up through school at all?
Not too much through the earlier years, but as I reached senior school in year 10, I found the head of volleyball at my school came in, noticed my height, and just said, "Hey, you want to play volleyball?" And that was essentially all it took. That was the length of the discussion. I said yes, and that's sort of where it took off. And again, it went from training with them to suddenly reaching out and trying to get on to the major scale as quick as possible, including going to the AVL early with a lovely coach who I've had the pleasure of commentating with today. Yeah, a lot of fun there. So it's always good, but I think nowadays we have a lot more opportunities for the juniors to grow, and there used to be a bit of a gap between after you finished nationals and then trying to make senior teams. I think these sort of events have done a great job in filling those points, allowing more of a smooth transition to trying to compete for the top Volleyroos spot. Yeah, it's so important having meaningful playing opportunities, and in Australia we are getting better and better at that. As we say, we see our players starting younger and younger, which sort of gives us a bit of a chance on the national scale. As you see all around the world, players are starting as young as sort of 10 and even younger. In Australia, like yourself, year 10, sort of that little bit later in the scale of the world things, but we are getting younger. We've had more and more numbers at that youth tournament we spoke about before in that under 14s age group, so kids as young as 11, 12 years old might be in year 7. How important are those playing opportunities for the youngsters coming up? Oh, completely crucial there, because obviously we look at around the world, you know, we look at the South American countries, European countries, and even in the North American nations, it's just incredible. They're starting from as young as, 3, 4 years old, when they can put their arms in front of them, they're digging balls. And it doesn't sound like much, but just those earlier years there, you will look at some of the 10-year-olds in Europe that are playing, some of the Brazilians that are young, and their technique is flawless already at that age. So it just becomes about getting bigger, being able to jump higher, and that's why these nations often compete, and Australia sometimes starts on the back foot. But again, with the developments over the last few years, we're really starting to catch up and strive, especially with the likes of our top Volleyroons, Maria Fay and Talika Clancy, doing beautifully in Tokyo, getting that silver medal, knocking out the world number 1's Canada in the semi-finals on their journey to that game.
An absolutely huge result there, and yeah, exactly as you said, the earlier you start, you do develop those fundamentals, which we've spoken about before, but look, it's not the be-all and end-all. As you've seen, Radim out here had never played volleyball before coming to Australia, grew up in the Czech Republic, and was actually a professional goalkeeper, a football player. So never too late to start. As you see, he's made it to the main draw here in Mollymook, and the boys are holding their own against the number 3 seeds.
Absolutely, yeah, a really good game here. They've started off really, really strong, especially you look at all the way up to that tech timeout. Usually you have quite a close game at this Div 1 level. It becomes after the tech timeout, as you look to close the set off, that you often see one team start to create that separation. That's what we saw set 1, so it's be curious to see now what happens in set 2, or if they make any adjustments to their game.
We spoke about the fundamentals before, but some players decide to go for the unconventional. The behind the head shot there by Izac, not quite coming off, but look, he is known for breaking the mould a little bit. How important is it to be a little unpredictable from time to time?
Oh, it's a great aspect to have if you're able to every now and then just throw something interesting into your game just to change it up, break the rhythm of what defenders are doing. Like if you're famous or well known for just slamming cross-court balls every now and then, just throwing in a few line shots, some cuts, some things to change your game up, really make it difficult to defend you. But I guess the bigger thing to notice there is that ability to adjust to, I guess you could say, non-ideal situations. Sometimes, you know, some of the best teams, you look at sometimes what separates, you know, good teams from great teams is what happens with that set that's not quite where you want it as a hitter. Your ability to really make a strong attack off that is really what separates some of those, as I said, those good teams from great teams.
No, for sure, especially, as you say, the wind's starting to pick up a little bit here, so your sets are never always in the perfect spot, but it does make a big difference. So if you can still work with that, work with a bit of a dodgy set, I'm sure that if I was playing with you, you'd be getting absolute rubbish sets, so you'd have to really work that sand there. But look, it does definitely help, and as long as you can always play a ball, you're always in the point.
Absolutely, and of course, like you were saying before, it is definitely easier being tall and having a 7-foot wingspan too, but of course, always easy to adjust, and it's just, again, that experience of learning to be patient in your approach and such like that, and learning how to adjust, and more importantly, how to hit in situations where you might not be, you know, completely balanced when you take off, that sort of stuff.
A little too long there by Kiahl Morley. I think he was just looking for the outside of the block again, but Carragher and Nicolaidis take a 5-point lead in this second set, slowly getting a bit of a head of steam up. If you were Morley and Radim, what sort of advice would you give the guys to try to break this momentum?
I think they're playing some good stuff here, and I think personally, like there you go, right there with a beautiful shot there. They're just shooting, they're moving around the defense, still trying to work out, I guess you could see if they can find a weak point in the team that is Carragher and Nicholades. I think it's definitely important always to maintain, as we spoke about in game one, that sort of aggressive mindset. So definitely making sure we don't get too scared of a block, and we make sure to maintain that hitting form and that hitting aggression.
A big block there by big Radim. Bit of those goalkeeping skills coming out there, I'd say. Not the shortest bloke out there. I think he's 189, but solid wingspan and bit of a roof on Mr. Nicolaidis there.
Absolutely good spot. And again, this is sometimes the risk with the low sets, is that sometimes if the ball carries too tight, especially in wind like this where it is gusting, you can set what's almost a hospital ball, which is just you basically push the ball right under the block with the set. And as a hitter, there's very little you can do there. You just basically try and go off the top of the block as hard as you can and hope for the best. Hope it doesn't come back straight down.
Spoke about that unpredictability before. I think with this windy weather, I wouldn't mind seeing a little sky ball there, see if we can get any control. I heard Mr. Nicolaidis talking about it before, but may well wait until match point for that one.
Absolutely. Kiahl Morley as well, also really well known for a strong sky ball. Very consistent as well.
Almost saw the double block there. They both came in. A little bit of confusion. You see it sometimes with the new pairings, but the boys in pink just too good to let that one up.
Absolutely. Yeah, again, it's just knowing, this is the sort of stuff we talk about when we see new pairings. It's just knowing in these situations, like, you know, you're in transition, who to go up to the net, whether it's someone's got to call it or you just have that natural person that gravitates towards the net. So there's a little bit of confusion, but as you said, Izac and Carragher are experienced enough to notice that and immediately go hard on the cross court there.
It's never a bad option, though, if you're not exactly sure. Oh, here we go. The opposite of a commentator's curse. He's going for the little sky ball in the wind.
Passed beautifully there by Izac. Nice defense by Kiahl. He'll have no block. Beautifully done.
Exactly as you spoke before. Mr. Morley wasn't worried to get his body behind that one and just changing things up a little bit.
Yeah,
Thought Izac might have tried to lay down the law and let him know what he thought about it, but look, if it works once, let's not go again. So
yeah, we're having another sky ball here. Absolutely, as I said, Kiahl well known for him. Just going wide on that one, but again, really good to see that sort of stuff, breaks the rhythm. And in heavy wind, things such as sky balls are very difficult to pass. We can see at the highest level, Carragher, Italian man, famous. You can see him on YouTube all over, surfing balls that go outside the top of stadiums, and you see drone footage of these balls being, 40, 50 meters in the air and just dropping with ridiculous speed.
Like you said, very, very well known for them, and it's a great one for volleyball fans and just entertainment fans alike. It just spices things up a little bit, and even the best players, it just might catch them off guard, might break up their rhythm, and I don't mind that tactic by Mr. Morley, but Nicolaidis laying another one down, taking that lead back out to 4 points here, 12 points to 8 in this second set. We're coming up to this technical timeout again. And they've closed the gap a little bit there. Any tips for the boys out here? With a 4-point lead, we'll see if they can bring that into 3 in the tech timeout. Or would you be talking to Radim and Kiahl if you were coaching the guys?
Well, really, even like whether coaching or playing, you've got to look at these sort of situations. And when you know a break in play is coming, you often just sort of chat about that very quickly. You might look at each other and just go, hey, look, it's just that 1 point. We just need that 1 point. Then we have a tech timeout, so we just really try and convert that one ball one side out. And then hopefully, especially in Radim and Kyle's case, they side out and get to take the ball coming out of the tech timeout to the good end, which is what happened. We saw the serve go just wide of the line, which means, I guess, a really ideal situation. You come out of the tech timeout, 3 points behind, and you get the ball at the good end.
Sure, we'll roll a quick TVC. We'll be back in a moment. Massive thanks to our partners there, Destination New South Wales and the New South Wales Government, New South Wales Office of Sport. It is great to be back down here on the New South Wales South Coast, as we said, Mollymook Beach, a beautiful venue, great part of the world, and it's just great to be back on the beach volleyball court. Obviously, COVID's wreaked havoc over the last couple of years. How good is it to be back on the sand? As I say, you're playing yourself, Lewis. How good is it to be back playing again?
In all honesty, there's just no feeling like it. Like, especially with last year, the season getting cut short due to COVID, and a lot of events having to be called off, and us having to be, unfortunately, in lockdown. Especially in Sydney, we were locked down. Same with Melbourne, just locked down for a long periods of time, and not able to play much volleyball. So it got a bit, almost fear of missing out, a bit of anxiety of just not being able to touch the sand. You get that craving, you just can't go and satisfy it. But now, there was no feeling like it. To be honest, like I couldn't put into words. Getting back on the sand for the first time just felt great. To be back in action.
No, it is great, and we've kicked off the summer, as we mentioned, a couple of weeks ago in Cobram, down in the shores of the Murray River, which is a bit of a fan favourite. Mollymook, the first time we've been here for the Australian Beach Volleyball Tour. There's been a couple of state events down here, and there is a great volleyball community, but it is great to be back down here, and we really do thank Shoalhaven City Council for their support. Without their council support and all of our great sponsors, these events can't happen. So on behalf of Volleyball Australia and all of the athletes, fans, everyone involved with the sport, we give massive thanks to all of our sponsors. As Carragher and Nicolaidis take a 4-point lead, obviously taking out the first set, so they'll be looking to start strong in this tournament. How important is that strong start in a tournament? First game of the tournament so far, how important is it to get off to a winning start?
Oh, again, there's a few ways I guess you can approach it. It is, I would say, quite important because you have that strong start, you get that boost of confidence, and sometimes, especially in the first tournament back, you might have that first tournament sort of jitters, so to speak. So to have a win under your belt straight away is really good to have, I guess, that momentum going forward into your next game. But especially in your first game, winning the first set always gives you that confidence and sometimes helps you relax a bit, allowing you to take more control of the game.
Now, Izac Carragher, obviously, he's an avid surfer himself, so he might have been getting a bit distracted by the waves there. I think he might have aimed for them there. But just off the top of the hand, and gives Morley and Mokrohajsky a 3-point there, 15 points to 11. Seeing if Radim's got the balls here to go for the sky ball, but I believe Mr. Morley's on the serve again, so he might go back to the conventional serve.
Absolutely. Nice big swing again. Izac, big swing, known for them. Usually a nice angle on them too, going sharp down, but that one again, just not quite getting the contact that he wants, so he sent it to another postcode.
Good eyes there by Mark Nicolaidis. I'd say a crafty player and a bit of experience coming through there. Extends the lead back out to 5, 16 serves 11.
Might see a diving block here from Izac. There it is. See, again, this is another thing we see a lot is you have to look at the things you can change when playing, whether or not you change your attacking approaches. Something we don't talk about often is actually changing how you defend as well. So we saw Mark and Izac there switching up the way they were going to block rather than just a simple line or a simple cross. They throw in things such as that diving block. So seen there just to show the attacker going, hey, you have all this option cross, and then a big dive and penetrating across to basically take away that option.
Yeah, no doubt. A few of the lessons they've learned from the high-performance program down there in Adelaide. As Radim tries to throw down a little bomb himself, but just misses that one slightly. We've spoken about the developing volleyroos and the entire beach volleyroos program. Such a good program down there, and as we saw, the boys, Chris McHugh and Damien Schumann, qualifying for the first time in quite some time for the Olympic Games. Brisbane 2032 coming up in only 10, 11 years. It really, really is an exciting time for the sport, and these boys right here in their young 20s, dare say they may be around, but how exciting is that as a volleyballer yourself to see an Olympics coming on our home shores in the next sort of just over a decade?
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. Like, it would be great to have, again, that home turf. You know, last time we were able to host the Olympics, we had that gold medal magic with Kerry Podast and Nat Cook, so it'd be phenomenal to be able to experience that again, and hopefully we can defend our home turf medal.
That's it. It kickstarts the careers of quite a few athletes, the old Olympic Games, and as we say, we're seeing more and more involvement by Australian teams there, which can only be good for our sport. More and more playing opportunities, as we've spoken about. We touch down in Manly in a couple of weeks' time. We've got the juniors again, so that middle ground you spoke about before between that school and youth age, leading up to this ABVT, how important are those bridging tournaments in the development of some of our young athletes?
In my opinion, I think they're absolutely crucial because they, as I said, provide that stepping stone. So instead of having to take this big leap up a level, you sort of have these stairs you're able to climb in order to achieve that sort of thing. We have a set point, match point being brought up for the Australian pair of Izac Carragher and Mark Nicolaidis. And as you can see, we sort of spoke about before that going into tech timeouts, you're often quite close to each other and you have that sort of advantage of only being a couple points either side. So they were down by 3, but now you see the lead has increased to where Izac and Mark have a comfortable lead of 8.
Kiahl Morley just finding the block there. Izac getting up, but not quite getting his angles right, and they hold on for one more point here. Set in match point number 2, but Kiahl Morley to serve. 13 serves 20. Might be lining up for another sky ball here. All or nothing, I like it.
That one's dropping in. Little shaky on the pass, but nice high set from Mark, and that one's sent into our tent. I must have said something Izac did not like.
He's definitely getting his fair share of wheat picks because there's plenty of power behind those swings, but just getting a bit of the rust off in this first match of the tournament. Another sky ball, I think, here, so he's just staying consistent and keeping the boys on their toes. Let's see if they can deal with this one. As you spoke about before, dealing with those average sets every now and then, but he's kept it alive, and Morley's found their hands again, so he's narrowed the deficit to 5 now. To my maths, that's 35, so a change of ends.
We're able to see just a slight miscommunication there. We saw Izac and heard him vocally call for that shoot ball, so again, they love to run that fast ball, but he was running a bit close to Mark, expecting almost an A-quick sort of tempo, just straight up and down in front of him, but Mark's heard the shoot and gone for the outside set. Again, slight miscommunication, but when you've got the benefit of being up by a few points and another sky ball coming from Kiahl, as I said, he's well known for him. He has that confidence. This one drifting, again landing in. Nice pass from Izac, though, and he does convert that one, and that will bring up the match.
That will do it. As we said, Mr. Carragher finishing it off. But the boys hung in there for a little while, but all in all, a few things that Carragher and Nicolaidis can work with. But Kiahl Morley and Radim Mokrohajsky definitely holding their own out there. 21 points to 15 in the second set. We have one more match here coming up in about 25 minutes' time. 6 p.m. We'll have Matus Jalba and James Tacken up against the young guns from ABVT.